You have the presumption that people care what you say. They don't.
We don't do a good job of selling what the NBA is.
Actually, I don't either.
No. ESPN has totally changed how we watch the NBA, and in the process, they've ruined the product so much that it can't be fixed. Let's start with one of the worst media talking points. But first, don't forget to like and follow if you want to know when new videos come out. You can watch any NBA-related show and hear about things like LeBron James's legacy. Most of the news stories will be about drama and fun.
I wish LeBron James will retire. The more LeBron James continue to play the game of basketball, the more it's going to hurt his legacy.
How an ex-player isn't good enough to lead a team because he couldn't get his team deeper into the playoffs, or how Y player is toxic and bad for team chemistry. You have talk shows where people argue about pointless things or yell at each other so much that you can't understand what they're saying.
Stupid or immoral? Actually, I don't either. No.
The crazy thing is that this kind of coverage makes money because it has inspired others to do the same, and each time the NBA coverage has gotten worse. For example, during the NBA Finals between the Celtics and the Mavs, you had the First Take covering why LeBron James stopped following Kendrick Perkins. Yes, that really did happen.
Breaking news from this weekend, LeBron James has unfollowed our own Kendrick Perkins.
The way games are covered has also been skewed. Instead of breaking down the plays and strategies, shows talk about the clutch gene or how one team just wanted it more than the other. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver shares this complaint. Silver thinks that if basketball media did a better job of breaking down lesser-known squads, the NBA could become more like the NFL for casual sports fans. In the past, if you asked an NBA fan if they were going to watch the NBA Finals, they would say who was in it. But if you asked an NFL fan if they were going to watch the Super Bowl, they would never say only if the Giants were in it. It's a holiday in every country. There has been a long-running story in the NBA that small market teams can't bring in viewers. This has also made it harder for smaller market teams to get stars to join their teams. But Adam Silver thinks that's mostly because of how the media covers the NBA. Silver thinks that hoops viewers could fall in love with the Denver Nuggets or the Cleveland Cavaliers if they were shown more often. Part of my job is to take people who are fans of the game and by definition create interest in whoever the teams are, he said. I think we can all do a better job, and I'm not just talking about the media. I'm also talking about the game itself. This is where my frustration lies. I think that sometimes the color comments in our games comes down to saying which team wanted it more or tried harder. There was also a sense of reductive analysis in the sports media, where they played down the skill and strategy of different teams and ended up oversimplifying the game. This hurts NBA fans who watch the product because they don't fully appreciate what they're seeing and have to understand it through different media narratives. The defenses are very complicated. What kind of offense is this team running? Why are they losing? Why are they winning? Describe the pick and roll. Describe what's going on the court. Instead, stories are told. The clearest example of this was when Kendrick Perkins brought up race in the MVP race 2 years ago.
When it comes to MVP voting, 80% of the voters are white American. 20% are other.
Which seemed to have swung a lot of votes away from Nikola Jokic and towards Joel Evans. That was a terrible shot. You would have made history by becoming the first player since Larry Bird to win 3 MVP awards in a row. Also, winning the title in the same year would have put Jokic in the company of some of the all-time greats. But the conversation Perkins started ruined what should have been natural and organic. A lot of the media coverage is based on clicks and views, which is why analysts like Skip Bissinger are so determined to be the anti-LeBron guy on TV. That way, a lot of people will either agree or disagree with him.
And LeBron James was pathetic, shooting 35% from the field in that series.
For years, Skip has used every chance to play down what LeBron has done in recent years. Skip even found a new target in Luka Doncic.
They're talking in Dallas about the next Dirk. Here's the problem.
This kind of talk about the game doesn't add to it. Instead, it stirs up hate and negativity. It also brings the game down. For years, we've talked about how great the Mavs team was for beating the Heat and how great their plan was. After that, Mark Cuban tried to school Skip on it, but no one would listen.
Well, first of all, you have the presumption that people care what you say. They don't.
This turns the NBA from a sport into an entertainment product where people's personalities matter more than what happens on the court. When a player doesn't perform at the level we expect them to, we don't give the other team credit. Instead, we focus on that player's character and the flaws in his game. This kind of analysis changed how we watched the NBA before he became head coach of the Lakers. Some reporters, like J.J. Redick, seemed to be the only ones trying to break down games. He even criticized other reporters for not doing the right thing.
How much did we talk about that? We don't do a good job of selling what the NBA is.
For example, after the Denver Nuggets swept the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, there was more coverage of the Lakers than of the team that had beaten them. There were stories about what went wrong in Los Angeles, how this affects LeBron's legacy, why the Lakers need to fire their general manager, and other things. There was almost nothing about how great the Nuggets were and how they were having the best playoff run in team history. Even the Nuggets head coach, Michael Malone, called out the bad coverage.
You know, you win game one of the playoffs, and all everybody talked about was the Lakers.
But it's easy to see why the Lakers got more attention than the Nuggets. You could write more interesting stories about the Lakers that would get more eyes than clicks. Today on First Take, J.J. Redick tried to speak for that group by saying that NBA media was bad at covering the league and didn't do a good job of selling what the NBA is, which is 30 teams, 450 players, and multiple superstars. The fact that people are acting like people who say things like, "Oh, I didn't know Nikola Jokic was good. Let's talk about him more," might be the biggest problem with having meaningful conversations about the NBA. What about the ring culture debate? So many great NBA players and careers come down to, well, he never want to. Guys in the ring like James Harden and Charles Barkley. This kind of ring culture argument has hurt Russell Westbrook and a lot of other people. As time goes on, players go from being legendary and incredibly skilled to being labeled as stat padders who couldn't get the job done. The term stat padder is new to the NBA, but it's used to describe someone who plays great and has great production, but their team can't win. This is because there are limits to what one player can do. The makeup of the team is more important than how it is coached. Also, not every well-put-together team will win. Some teams might just have better players, but instead of recognizing Trae Young as a generational offensive talent, the sports media will either play down his skills and give him all kinds of crazy names to get more views or spread rumors that he should leave his team and go somewhere else. This is another problem with the NBA right now. Players can't mature and get better because there is so much focus on winning and how your legacy depends on rings. Before the Wolves recently became popular, there were rumors that Anthony Edwards should leave the team. Before the Celtics finally won a title, there were also rumors that Brown and Tatum couldn't win together and that the Celtics should trade one of them.
As bad as we all would like to see it work, they can't coexist.
The media is driven by stories, so stars can't come into their own. All they want is the next big story that will get more clicks. They don't care about the growth of people or teams. Fans who watch media with stories in it also feel the same way. All of this hurts the game of basketball in the long run. Comparing generations and players and putting one player down to promote another doesn't make the game better. Instead, it turns people into box score watchers who only look at stats and form their own opinions instead of learning about the game's history and how it has changed over time and taking the time to appreciate every play. But as long as the views keep coming in, there doesn't seem to be any way to change the narrative-driven sports coverage. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, slam that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think deserves the spotlight next? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all things NBA. See you next time on the court.